Hey everybody, welcome back to Out of the Ordinary with Jay. And I'm with Dustin. And Dustin, how old are you?
52.
52, okay. And where are you from?
I'm originally from Pinetop Lakeside.
Okay, is that small town, big town?
Small town up in the mountains, about 3 hours from the valley.
Valley being Phoenix Metro?
Being Phoenix Metro, yeah. Okay. Example of how small it is, what it was, is like my graduating class, I had 98 people in it.
That's a small, that classifies as a small town.
Right.
Okay, fine. So I wanted to ask you some of my favorite questions and get your take on it.
Perfect.
What are your thoughts on aging? You know, aging gracefully, fighting it, the perfect age, health, like what are your thoughts? Because, you know, at 52, you've now aged some. So,
right.
Like, what do you think about aging?
It's funny because, so I worked for a company, retired after 32 years. At 50,
same company?
Same company.
Wow, nobody does
32
that.
years. And I actually started a second career as a teacher.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, and then I also have a 5-year-old son at 52. So the aging thing really hits me hard when it comes to thinking about trying to be a mentor and teaching my son.
Yeah.
You know, because he's young, and like I'm not going to be around like the normal dad. I mean, you know, if I live another, let's say I live to 80, you know, another 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, my son will be 35. You know, normally, you know, so for me, aging is I put a strain on myself trying to teach my son as much as I can before I leave this world because I am older.
So you feel yourself trying to like cram?
Cram, exactly.
Really? Okay.
And it puts a lot of stress on me. But like I look at a lot of people my age that I grew up with, and I kind of like, oh, I feel pretty good about myself. You know,
just a comparative,
right? And
just a quick analysis. Your vision's holding up. You're like, hey, wait a minute,
right?
I look pretty good.
Well, my vision isn't, but but you know what? You have to stay busy. Like, you know,
sounds like you are staying busy. You have a kid and a job.
Teach full time, chase a 5-year-old around. I have a band.
Oh yeah,
and then you know, I own 2 big properties, 2 small ranches. So it's just constant. I think once you stop is when you really start to age. Does that make sense?
Not only does it make sense, I completely agree with it.
Right.
I totally agree with that. I was thinking though, like with having a kid, it seems like, you know, a double-edged sword on the aging thing. Because on the one hand, it sure takes a lot of work to raise a kid. It's not easy. There's a lot of added stress. But at the same time, at 52, like you're forced to get up, and you're forced to throw the ball, and you're forced to show them things. And so like, you know, you're talking about staying active, forces you to stay active.
Right.
And so like, that probably keeps you young, I would think. You know?
Well, and
I mean, because didn't you tell me earlier that you were coaching them?
Yeah. So at the school I work for, I coached girls volleyball and boys baseball. And then I also coached my son's t-ball team. And
that's a lot, man.
It is. But I think being an older dad has really prepared me for, especially in today's society, because it's so all over the place. Like we're so segregated as a nation and as a world. Yeah. Like I think it's going to be beneficial for my son because I've experienced so much in my lifetime, and I think I can make probably better decisions at 52 than I did at 20, 30.
100%.
You know?
The idea of I mean, certainly as a 52-year-old, like looking back at like a 22-year-old trying to do the same thing, you'd be like, what? That guy knows nothing.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Not to bag on young parents. I'm just saying there's definitely you've learned quite a bit over the years.
Well, and, you know, and I had a dad that was my mentor, and great, you know, I had great parents. I'm an only child. So, you know, all their attention went to me, but my dad worked out of town my whole life, and my mom worked full time and went to school at night. But like at an older age, I rekindled my relationship with my parents because, you know, they had retired or we were all in the same. And what I learned from my dad in the past 30 years is more than I learned in my first, you know,
isn't that something?
18 or 20.
Isn't that right? So just from that alone, you wouldn't have been able to pass that on to your son because you wouldn't have had it.
Right.
That's pretty good. So what about the idea of aging just your own self, like physically, mentally, like how is that for you?
The physical aspect of it is tough for me because like, I've had 14 surgeries. Knee surgeries.
14 surgeries.
Yeah.
You've hit your quota and then enough for other people, I would say.
You know, knee surgeries,
Jeez.
I had my neck fused, you know, so I'm kind of a wreck, and it's
That part of aging sucks.
it does. But it gives me more strive to try to stay active and try to keep my body limber, you know, whether it be through stretching or, you know, I don't do yoga. I probably should, but
I won't ask you to demonstrate yoga right
yeah, I
now,
won't
but
be
that
able
would
to
be
do it.
so awesome.
I like yogurt.
That would be so awesome for the video. But
But you know, working out or staying active, like when I coach the school baseball, like I throw batting practice. I haven't thrown a baseball. I haven't thrown batting practice in 30 years, you know? And so and then, you know, growing up, I played volleyball for a long time, and coaching the girls volleyball, I kind of got back into peppering a little bit.
yeah,
But I think for me, it's more the physical aspect as opposed to the cosmetic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm starting to lose my hair a little bit, and I have
Yeah.
hair growing in places I don't want to.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I know. I got to trim my ears out like every other day, but
It's weird what happens to men.
yeah.
They start losing their hair on the top of their head, and then it decides to go out the ears or something. It's like a very strange. We're going to just change the formation of this tree.
Well, and I'll tell you, the ear hair thing, it's funny. So I had a science teacher in seventh grade. God rest his soul. He's a great man. I loved him to death, but he had like
broccoli ears,
like bad hair growing out of his ears, and I always remember, like, I do not want to be like that. Like, I'm going to trim my ears every chance I get.
What's funny is I had a couple of teachers like that too, or a teacher like that too, and now, like, you know, I'm kind of like kind of thinking like, man, that guy's brave, or he just doesn't give a crap. Like, it's just, you go, man.
Right. Or maybe they didn't make trimmers back then.
Hedge trimmers.
Right.
So what about the mental aspect of aging? Like, you know, you feel, as sharper, wiser.
I know.
Less sharp.
My memory, I have challenges with remembering things, but I also think a lot of that has to do with technology, because, you know, back when I was younger, you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have Google calendars, you didn't have emails, you didn't have text messages, WhatsApp, TikTok, Facebook. Like, you didn't have all that.
Yep.
And I think we as a society are so mentally busy, like you can't remember things, and I don't think it's really my brain as opposed as what I'm trying to take in and trying to remember based on all this.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that too. I was talking with somebody else the other day, and he was bringing up how that, you know, back when he had grown up, you know how many PIN numbers he had to remember? Zero.
Right.
You know how many passwords he had to remember? Zero.
Right.
You know how many logins he had?
Right.
Zero. You know, I mean, there was. You know,
think about phone numbers.
You know, exactly. You know how many things were streaming to him, and how many things he had to pay? No, and also he was making the comment of, like, you know, I'd go into my work. He goes, I had an office job, and then I'd go home, and that's the end of it, because I can't take boxes of paper with me.
Right.
It's there.
I can't check emails.
So yeah, I agree. I think the fact that our attention these days is so dispersed and all over.
Right.
It's kind of like, you know, if people say that we're, you know, older people, maybe your parents' age or something, you know, let's say you're born with a cup like this, and then, you know, people of this age that are born now are born with a cup like this, and you know, dump water, they would just fill it. Now it's just this ever-flowing bucket, and the thing's just overflowing. So of course things are going to fall out, and you're not going to remember everything. That's my opinion.
It's like those water parks that have the buckets that pour.
Yeah.
Pour. They get heavy, and all of a sudden they dump everything, right? And that's what it is, and it's daily. Yeah. Like when you wake up in the morning, your bucket is empty. So
how much of it do you think is age related, or how much of it do you think is sort of just the new?
Honestly, at my age, I think it's a 70-30 split. I think 30 of it is probably mental. I think the other 70% is just the world being so busy. I mean, you know. So give me while we're sticking on the age thing real quick, what would you say to you is the perfect age? Like, if you could pick a perfect age. Like your prime? Yeah, like when for you, like you know, you're feeling like the best physically, the best mentally, or like if you could have one wish and that was what age would I go back to? Yeah, what age would you pick or go forward to? You want to be probably around 30. Yeah. Yeah. Why so? 30. I had only had a couple of surgeries. But I was, you know, like I was in my prime physically. I think I was playing a lot of volleyball. You know, I was I was very active at my work. I was working out. I had energy. You know, that's the biggest struggle for me now is I go so fast, you know, with my job, my son, my band, and then, you know, trying to take care of everything. Like when I have a day off, like I hit rock bottom.
Well, so here's the thing,
I
though,
get
just
exhausted.
to circle back though to what we're talking about between the differences in the world versus age. Like, if you did all those things at 22, don't you think you'd also have been tired and wanted to crash?
Probably.
Do you know what I mean? Like at 22, you didn't do that much.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like if at 22, the expectation was, hey, you got to go teach, coach, parent this kid, go do your band thing all night. And and I think you'd drop too. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's,
I never looked at it that way.
like, I just wonder, I don't know if that's an age thing or because one of the things I've noticed as I've interviewed lots of older people now is that there's this cumulative effect, it seems, where every year, every 5 years, whatever, they're doing more than the previous time. Right. There's always like an ad. Almost never is anything getting taken away. Right. And so, yeah, you should be more tired. Right. Like you're doing more. Right. Forget about the age thing. Yeah. Just in general, it's like you're just piling on. You know, the to-do list seems to get bigger. The amount of bills seems to get to be more. Right. It's just more responsibilities, more always on your shoulders. Yeah. And I think that would make someone tired. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Anyway, I don't know if it's true, but it sounds good. All right. So supposing I showed up today, we'll go skip to the next question here. Supposing I showed up today and I had a magic pill, and it's the only one that exists. But if I give it to you and you take it, you're immortal from this moment on. Okay. Dustin, at 52, right here, you're living forever. Okay. Nobody else gets this pill, though. Do you take it? Is it a Viagra pill? I didn't say it was a blue pill. Oh, gotcha. Do I take it? You're granted immortality. Do you take it at this where you're at right now? You know, I think if I didn't have a 5-year-old son. And by the way, that means, you know, there's like you're not going to age anymore. You're going to be at this thing. There won't be any more injury. You'll be at this level. Right. Cognitively and physically. Right. That's tough because to me that turns into a religious factor of, right. You know, it definitely can for dying some people. And going to the next chapter in your life in heaven, you know, with God and Jesus. But then on the other side of it, I have a 5-year-old son who I absolutely adore. Right. And like, he is everything to me. So that's a tough call. Then. Yeah. I think and then, can you give me a pill that will make me live like 50 years? Well, no. That's not this ridiculous hypothetical. Right. No, but no, it does beg the question though, because like, you know, okay, so then maybe instead of being with your son for 30 years, you're there for his entire life. So that could I have to watch him. So that could be away. 7, right? But eventually, there's that. Although, you know, if he's got grandkids or right. You know, I mean, you have this new right. But it gets into some weird territory. So I don't know. That's a tough question. So not sure if you would take it or not. You're saying it's tough. Yeah, it's tough because I think it's a real tough which one. Is crazy to me because that's one of the more honest answers I've gotten, by the way. So, well, because who would? I mean, I think we're in a different society too. I think we're in such a, in my opinion, a bad society because of just all the hate in this world. So I don't know if I'd want to be around for that for the rest of my life. It's not going to get better. But what if it did? Or what if you could be impactful? After 300 or 400 years, you'd be the wisest guy on the planet. That's right. People could come to you and be like, "Hey, I don't like all this hate. We got to fix it." And I would be the best looking 52-year-old there was too. Oh, yeah. I'm just saying, you'd be like 550 years old. That's a tough question. Yeah, it is. It's a weird question. If I didn't have children, I would probably take it. But because you do, it becomes complicated. Yeah, because I put my trust in God. And it's funny, the older I get, and now my son in my life, like it's built my religious beliefs even stronger than they've ever been. And for me, it gives me a push. And it's sad that I needed that push, but like, I want to believe in that there's life after death and in heaven, and I get to see my family again, especially after both my parents have died. And now I'm an only child, so I'm here by myself. Right. So like I strive to be a stronger Christian, knowing that I will get a chance to see them again. So if I didn't, I'll tell you this, here's your answer. Yeah.
If I didn't have a child,
Mm-hmm.
I would probably take the pill. But because I have my child and both my parents are deceased, and based on my faith, I probably wouldn't take the pill.
You bring up a bunch of interesting points that I'm going to combine here, but real quick one is, sometimes when this immortal pill, I do my little hypothetical,
Right.
like they're instantly like, nah, wouldn't take it, blah, blah, blah. Or some take it, whatever. But like for the ones that won't take it, it's sort of like a lot of people like, not a lot of people, but many people, it's known, like, oh, I'm not going to take that treatment, or oh, I'd never do that.
Right.
And then they're on their deathbed in the hospital, and they're like, dude, do whatever you got to do.
Right.
Just keep me alive. You know what I mean? So their thing, they change very quickly when it becomes a non-hypothetical, and now all of a sudden,
it's reality.
The reality is they're going to die soon.
Right.
All of a sudden, they'll take whatever pill you could get them.
Yeah.
And then the other part of that is when you talked about, your faith sort of growing as you're getting older. The other side of that is I've also witnessed, just observationally, that as people that I know get older and older than you, even.
Wait, there's people older than me?
Surprisingly. No, but they tend to get very often more and more religious.
Mm-hmm.
I posit that that's partly because of they're getting scared and they're feeling their mortality.
Well, yeah.
Is that what you think it is?
I think it is. Yeah. I think it's for me, it's definitely that, but it's also wanting to you
also have had loss. And so the idea that you could be reconnected, there's that too. Sure. That happens as you get older, more and more people are.
Right. But it's funny. And I can say this, I mean, honestly, like I don't wake up fearing death every day, even at 52.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll tell you some personal information. I had a massive heart attack at 46.
Whoa.
Yeah. Widowmaker, LED, 90% blocked. I was 5 hours away from here.
So you're already on extra innings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Whoa. So wait, 46.
6 years.
So you hadn't had your son yet?
No, my son was 3 months old.
So the fact that you lived means easy.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Right?
Yes, it was 2019. So it was, my son was born in June, July, August. So it was September of 2019.
So you don't survive that, he's not here.
Right.
Wow.
Right. I had to tell his mother, I mean, we're divorced now, but I was laying on the gurney, getting ready to get in the helo. And I had to tell her, I said, hey, if I don't make it, you need to find another husband. You need to make sure you find a father for our son. Like that was the hardest thing. And my son was 3 months old.
Wow.
Well,
did you put stipulations on that? Like you need to find another husband, not quite as good looking as me. Like, did you go down the list? No, just kidding.
He can't do, no, but that was, it's and something that sparked that was years ago, I dated a gal and she was a widow at a very young age, and her husband left her with a 8-month-old and a 2.5-year-old. And he never, I don't want to say gave her permission, but he never gave her that talk. And it was, it was a long going disease that he died from. He never so she always felt guilty for moving on.
She felt imprisoned basically.
Yeah. And
That's tough.
And I didn't want to have that for my son's mother. Like I don't want to say I gave her permission, but I wanted her to know that, hey, it's okay.
No, but I won't be here. And what I want is in the best interest of you and our son.
Right.
That's pretty good.
Right.
That's pretty unselfish and a good thing to do. I'm surprised. I would see I don't know if everybody would think of that. That's pretty thoughtful.
Well, and honestly, I don't think I would have thought that
had you not had that experience.
Exactly.
Right. I could.
Because I mean, we dated for three years, and just watching what it did to her emotionally and mentally, like it was rough.
Dating you or
dating me? Yeah, that too. No, but that was good. No, but it was rough because we were on and off, and it was only because of the guilt she felt for moving on.
Totally could see that.
Yeah,
and that's a
and she was a great person.
It's a respectable position that you'd have, but definitely complicates the relationship.
Right.
Yeah, that's tough. So let's go the other way now, and let's say, what if you found out today, instead of bringing you this immortality pill, instead I bring you some paperwork from the doctor that says, I hate to tell you this, but this is 100% true. You have exactly 1 year to live.
Right.
And that's it. We know it. 365 days.
Right.
That's it. Now, what would you do if you found out you had 1 year to live?
So first off, I would have the conversation with my son And then I had the conversation with
By the way, these are terrible hypotheticals. I shouldn't even be saying these.
No,
Anyway.
it's life.
Yeah.
If you don't ever think about it, how do you prepare for
Well,
it?
that's okay. Fine.
Right.
Okay.
So and it's funny that you asked me that, because
Okay.
do you know what I did yesterday?
I don't.
I changed my trust. I had to do a new trust because of my divorce.
So this is sort of topical.
Well,
okay.
And he asked me, like all these questions I get yesterday in the trust with the lawyer. If you are in a vegetated state and your heart stops, do you want them to resuscitate you? No. Do you want them to give you a feeding tube if you're in a vegetated state? No. Do they, so I'm like, ooh, that's pretty tough, But I mean, you're in a vegetated state. The chances of you coming back.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody has to answer that in their own way.
Organ donor. Yes. I mean, so all these things are, so that's funny that you bring this up. But so I would have a conversation with my son. I would have a conversation with his mother. And then I would start dumping like everything. I would sell both properties. I would sell everything I could to create a trust fund for my son.
Oh, in other words, you'd make sure that he was set to the extent, since you're not going to be around.
Right.
What's the most I can do for him? And the most I can do for him would be to sell everything, put it in some investment vehicle.
I mean, I've got a fifth wheel trailer. I would go live in a trailer park my last year. I would liquid, because here's the thing. And the reason I say that is because when my mom passed away, she battled cancer for 4 months. And we knew what the end result was going to be. Like, she just didn't do well. And so we had time to prepare for that. And you still can't prepare for death. You just can't. Because my thing was
there's no preparing.
No. And what was hard about that was I had a friend of mine whose father passed away unexpectedly, and he told me, I wish there were so many things I could have told my dad. And it really stuck to me. And when my mom, she battled cancer for 4 months, I didn't tell her things that I wanted to tell her because I didn't want her to think I was giving up on her.
Right. And I would tell you, I think there's every answer to that, to me, is individually, is an individual thing, because first of all, you don't, and also you might not want to scare them further. Right. And also, like, you don't want them to feel bad in any way. Like, you're trying to stay in the moment,
you're trying to stay positive. Right.
And it's like, but also I think in special relationships like that, like, especially like mother, son, or whatever like that, like, someone could show your mouth shut. They know. Right.
They know.
There's nothing that has to be said.
Well, and that's what I told.
Like, literally,
they know.
Whether you utter the words or not.
Right.
In my view.
Right.
In special relationships like that.
And my friend's father, like, their relationship was amazing. And I told him, I said, hey, your dad knows. He knew. Yeah. Like, he knows what type of, he knows that you love him, And then when I lost my dad 3 years ago, it was unexpectedly. Yeah. I mean, he had cancer, and they removed his lung, and he survived that and survived COVID. And then out of the blue, he died. It was weird. Yeah. But, and the reason I would liquidate everything, and the other reason why I changed my trust, is because when he passed away, his living will, since I'm the only child, said, I leave everything to my son.
There you go.
But I didn't have accounts. I didn't have passwords.
But you had to get all that.
But I had to went through probate.
Oh yeah, you had to figure everything out.
Yeah, I hacked into his phone. I had to come up with. I mean,
that would be fun.
So parents, get a trust and make sure. Yeah, do living will, trust, whatever you need to do, but make sure you have it outlined for your kids from A to Z, exactly what steps they need to do. Yeah, because
otherwise the court steps in, it gets complicated. Yeah, and if there's any differing opinions within the family that's left, it could get.
And my probate was pretty simple, because I'm the only child, and there was only a couple, debt collectors that reached out, and I paid them off because it wasn't a lot of debt, but yeah, I mean, it's been 3 years, and I'm still just trying to clean things up, and. But yeah, so if I had a year to live, I would liquidate everything, sell everything that I could, get as much, liquid cash, invest it, for my son's future. That's what I'm doing now. Like everything I do now is for my son. Like I have a goal that when I pass, my son will have X amount.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I will say, to circle back to the thing that we mentioned earlier about, like, oh, I wish I would have said X when they were passing or whatever. I think when people say that, I do believe it's genuine. They do wish they had have said whatever they wanted to say. But I think what's really happening is they're just saying, I miss this person.
Right. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But so your summary is what you just said. My summary was, from what I heard, was you're going to sell everything and move into a trailer park.
Right. Right.
So no bungee jumping.
But the problem is I can't even move into a 55 and over trailer park yet.
That's
I
right.
know.
That's right. So what about like any Daredevil-y stuff? Like, Day 365, you can Evel Knievel off the Grand Canyon or anything? Or no?
Well, that's why I've had 14 surgeries, because I used to be an adrenaline freak. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
A cool fact though is like I've been teaching my son how to snowboard. I was a snowboard instructor back when I was 19, 20.
Oh, wow.
And so at 51, because we haven't had snow this year, but I might take him up this week. But at 51, I was on my snowboard.
You're shredding
with my son. Yeah, teaching.
Dude.
Him. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's a pretty good. So you're doing all right. Thanks for the interview.
Yep, you got it.
Appreciate it.
All right.